Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? Gorehound here, and I'm ready to give you something different today. A first impressions video. Now, you're probably thinking, where are the other reviews? I'm working on them, so
Get off my case.
But in all seriousness, I am working on them. I got Bloodseed and Elfin Lied in the works before I get back to writing the Bible Black finale, so why not start with this show? It's a summer season, so why the fuck not? We can start with this little impression series with Gate Episode 1. Yeah, not that stellar of a title, but it offers some interesting things to the table. For one, the plot was interesting enough to lure me in, but I had my concerns. Primarily from the characters' bios I read on the wiki beforehand. A 150-year-old elf with the body of a 16-year-old and a goth lolly who likes to kill things. These are enough to raise some eyebrows for someone getting into the show blind like myself. Now, since the show is fairly new, I'm going to have to spoil what happens in this episode to give my full impression of the show. So I'll talk a great deal about my experience watching this anime. So, if you haven't seen the episode yet, you have been warned. Right off the bat, I gotta talk about the opening. There was something off-putting as I listened to the song I was playing. A feeling of nostalgia. I wish I could reenact the discovery as I saw the Japanese kanji match the beat of the music so perfectly, it clicked in my head that I heard this exact band on the OP of High School of the Dead all those years ago. The revelation wasn't one of disgust or disappointment. In fact, I was scared. I didn't want to go through another High School of the Dead-esque show, knowing that there was a very real possibility that the show would sexualize its underage or overage characters. But that uncertain feeling suddenly turned to confusion as I noticed the similarity of the Gate OP to the High School of the Dead opening. So I listened to both of these tracks, and I couldn't believe my ears! The opening riff for Gate is almost the exact same as High School of the Dead. It's differently structured, sure, but it sounds the fucking same to me. I am no guitar player, but I know similar riffs when I hear them, so this is unacceptable. I had to see if this was a coincidence or not, so I looked up the body of work, and it seems so from the songs I listened on from YouTube. But still, what the fuck? I knew from that moment on, I was in it for the long haul. After that poppy rehashing of High School of the Dead, I got to see the main character. I haven't begun to care about him yet, and yet I laugh at his stupidity, bumping into poles while on his phone, and other general crap about him being an otaku. An anime phone case, playing mobile games, and an absurd logic like getting a job at the SDF to support his anime hobby. Now, I don't give a shit about him, but this guy is clearly in the wrong field to support his hobby. He's in the fucking military! I'll admit not to know too much about what jobs otaku have to support their hobby, but you think it would be one of the jobs that would minimize the risk of being killed on a day-to-day basis so he can enjoy the shit he can buy with his money. On a completely unrelated note, I find it hilarious that the anime feels the need to bring up the whole mobile gaming pay-to-play shit here of all places. Hey buddy, you should have brought that premium pass, you dumb son of a bitch. You could perform the whole 2 actions before getting beat on the ground senseless. This rose a question to the back of my mind. What the fuck's up with this game? Do you have to pay to move around or perform certain actions in combat? I suddenly thought to myself, should I care? And I eventually came with the conclusion that I shouldn't, and move on with my life. It should be noted that the scenes are intercut with a little girl staring into the titular gate. I don't know if this little girl's important or not. I don't know if she's part of the ongoing narrative or is just there to fill the lolly quota for the premiere. I'm going with the latter for now until proven wrong otherwise. After running into a pole and playing his shit mobile game, our main character sees other characters present in the opening sequence, and thus plans to see to explore how he's able to see things within the gate without being inside it. Personally, I want to see this guy get committed. So far, he's being a selfish fuck, and from what we know about him, he's supposed to be the relatable main character we see eye to eye to. Well, sorry, Gate staff, I'm not buying into it, and I'd be surprised if anyone did for that matter. Don't believe me? Try to name one person you would know who would join the military solely to buy con swag. Say what you want about shitty pay-to-play games, but I sure as hell know people who actually play them. Sorry, but you missed the mark by a wide margin there, bud. But wait, you're probably saying, you're overthinking it. Yes, I know I am. That's the joke. But would it kill anyone to have a character with a reasonable motivation for the job they chose? Apparently, yes, and all it takes is the cast of your local medieval times, Braveheart, your favorite Tolkien novel, and the abortion scraps of Bebop and Rocksteady murdering a bunch of civilians for no reason, and forcing the main character to save the day because plot hook. I would be lying if I didn't find this whole sequence to be awesome, except for one thing. There's little to no blood in this sequence. This scene takes up more than 70% of the episode, and as the Gorehound, I am greatly offended by this missed opportunity. Dragons are shot down with military choppers. People are viciously murdered and lying dead in the streets of Japan, and yet not a single drop of blood in sight. This is the most considerate army of wildling rejects put on celluloid. Either that, or anime nowadays are buckling under the pressure of what other countries think of them. Here's looking at you, China. And you know what this guy's doing as a dragon's flying around outside? His face is glued to his fucking phone. Is it sad that I find this the most relatable thing about this guy so far? And even that's stretching it a tad, because you know the streets are a fucking war zone. The screams of people from the streets of Japan should be freaking the fuck out over a dragon. And should I bring up the salient point that goes without saying, that's a fucking dragon! They're not known for being the most quiet creatures to exist in fantasy. Is this guy that oblivious to his surroundings that he cannot hear a fucking dragon flying in his city, let alone the screams of the citizens below, without the need for a double take? I give up trying to relate to this guy. He's on his own fucking planet. Remember what I said about the main character being selfish? Well, he's only acting his duty as a soldier to save the con he's trying to attend. Not the people, not the attendees, the con. If you're trying to make this guy as unrelatable as possible, you have succeeded with flying colors. But I'm a generous guy. I will give you one last chance to make this guy remotely relatable. Even when he's fighting to protect the citizens, which you know is the duty and job description as a member of the Japanese self-defense force would entail, he's putting himself at risk for all the wrong reasons. Lo and behold, this motherfucker gets promoted, and you know what? He still doesn't give a fuck. He still wants his doshinshi. He hardly even knows what to do with himself, evident in the scene where he meets a fellow nerd in the cafeteria. Now, this guy, I can understand. He's confronted by this fucking weirdo who shares similar interests as he does, but he'd rather keep to himself rather than geek out at every possible chance he gets. From what we see, he understands the duty of his job, and he's proud of it. Job first, hobby second. But as the episode ends, that understanding is muddled as they progress through the gate. Otaku Bro makes a quip about cat girls in the alternate dimension, making our main character be like, haha, maybe. If the influence of the main character is so toxic he's able to get people down on his level, he's too weird even for his own good. Some other things I need to bring up before the episode ends. One of which is the response of the Japanese government assessing the situation of having other dimensional beings travel between worlds, and the first thing that comes to mind is immediately engage in combat. Does that make the Japanese retaliation mission to subjugate another dimension any better than recklessly killing innocents in the street from the medieval army? From the get-go, the medieval army is being built up like this gigantic threat, but really, was that the only response the other dimension deemed worthy to take action upon? I'm sure this will be explained in later episodes, but for the sake of speculation, let's just say that he thought that attacking a foreign dimension was the best course of action. Why didn't they explore the possibility of establishing peace? Did he really think dragons, swords, and armor were enough to take over an entire dimension? If so, they deserve to be riddled with bullets and explosives. It's not like the gate was exclusive to them. Both sides were able to see and marvel at its presence. Given enough time, instead of killing everyone and risk going to war with weapons and tech that could easily destroy them in a heartbeat, they could have established contact first. Fucking idiots. Now they've doomed themselves. Congrats. You pissed off a technological superior dimension and now you run the chance of being prisoners of war or worse. Whatever they think they're ready for, they're not ready for tanks, helicopters, or machine guns. If any of their men from the original siege made it back alive to tell the tale how they were slaughtered, it's too late now. Game over. You lose. The end. The second thing is something very minor, but deserves mentioning seeing how it's the catalyst to future events. But who the fuck is organizing a wake right in front of a military operation? Seriously, who thought that was a good idea? I hope whoever planned that got fired by firing squad. Final thoughts? It's stupid, underwhelming, and gloriously inept, completely devoid of any rational thought from both parties. Both parties are in the wrong, and we're only seeing the side of the victims this episode. I don't know if I'll make another video on this subject. I find it very hard to believe that this story is based on a light novel going on 16 books. Obviously, there's something here. The question is whether or not I want to see it to the end or not. I don't know if I will. I got enough on my plate right now. A weekly series would just complicate things. I guess I gotta see episode 2 and see where this goes. God damn it. I hate my fucking morbid curiosity sometimes. Wait, there's 24 episodes of this? Fuck me.